A town at its core is not just a pile of bricks or a stretch of asphalt, but an unwritten agreement between people and the land beneath their feet. In Idaho, that agreement was often written in gold, silver, and timber. Unfortunately, time has its own way of canceling such deals. When the natural wealth drained from the earth could no longer support human ambition, all that remained were silent monuments slowly decaying under the grip of harsh western Appalachian weather. From settlements now reduced completely to the ashes of history with not a single soul left, to small communities still fighting demographic extinction today, Idaho is a real laboratory for how a civilization can be born, rise, and fall silent within just a few decades. First, let's explore the dry Owyhee Mountains of southwestern Idaho. Here, Silver City stands as one of the most intact and cinematic ghost towns in the United States. Today, Silver City is completely empty, with no permanent residents living there. More than 70 old wooden buildings, including the iconic Idaho Hotel, still stand in their original condition with very little modern architectural change. Walking along its dusty dirt roads creates a powerful visual impression, as if all the residents had just packed their belongings and left only hours ago, leaving behind a magical silence among the mountain winds. At its peak in the late 19th century, this town was a loud silver and gold mining center, home to thousands of people and equipped with luxury hotels, newspaper offices, and dozens of saloons. The arrival of railroad lines that bypassed the area, combined with the thinning of valuable ore veins underground, gradually forced residents into mass migration. Besides iconic Silver City, there is the ghost town of Custer, which offers a slightly different historical atmosphere. This ghost town area has now been integrated into the land of the Yankee Fork State Park Historic Site. Founded in the 1870s by ambitious gold miners, this small town once flourished along a narrow river valley for nearly 3 full decades of financial abundance. Nearby stands the giant Yankee Fork Gold Dredge, an industrial steel monster that emphasizes the scale of natural exploitation in the past. Custer's economic stability collapsed naturally when the operating costs of underground mining began to exceed the value of the gold brought to the surface. By 1910, the town was officially declared dead and abandoned with no active population left. Local authorities now maintain this old settlement route by preserving several log cabins, a school, and an old post office so travelers can appreciate the remains of the harsh pioneer life of the past. Next is Bayhorse, widely known for the remains of its giant stone smelting furnace structures, which still stand firmly at the base of a steep canyon cliff along the Salmon River Scenic Byway. This silver mining town, founded in 1877, was once one of the most crucial metallurgy centers in central Idaho, producing valuable metal bars to be shipped to major cities on the East Coast. This industrial complex once attracted hundreds of immigrant workers willing to live in harsh environmental conditions. When global silver prices plunged in the late 19th century, economic activity in Bayhorse was completely paralyzed in a short time. The smelting plant stopped operating, leaving behind piles of black charcoal waste and rows of wooden worker houses now slowly decaying under extreme weather. Bayhorse's uniqueness lies in its extreme geographic isolation inside a mountain gap, making the remains of this industrial glory look deeply mysterious when autumn fog begins to descend over the rock cliffs. Bonanza was founded as its sister town. It was originally planned to become the main settlement center for mine workers in the Yankee Fork area. In its early growth, Bonanza had a neater town layout and a denser population compared with nearby mining settlements. However, good fortune did not seem willing to stay long, as a series of major fires repeatedly burned through its commercial center. The fires that destroyed most of the main business buildings, combined with declining global mining output, became a devastating blow that kept Bonanza from ever returning to its glory days. Today, all that remains of Bonanza are a few wooden cabin ruins almost flattened to the ground and an old cemetery on a hill surrounded by tall pine trees. The silence in Bonanza carries a deep melancholy, telling of a dream of prosperity destroyed by fire. Meanwhile, Burke may hold the title as one of the most extreme and unusual town layouts in the history of American architecture. Located inside an incredibly narrow canyon gap in Shoshone County, this lead and silver mining town was forced to build all its infrastructure tightly together. Today, Burke has become a total ghost town, filled with giant concrete structures from former ore processing facilities, rusting and collapsing along the cliffside. Passing through Burke creates a dystopian visual sensation, showing the remains of industrial greed finally conquered again by nature. Limited land forced the commercial railroad line to be built directly through the lobby of the town's famous hotel, while the local creek was channeled through culverts beneath rows of buildings. The combination of flash floods, major fires, and the closure of the Hecla underground mine in the mid-20th century finally ended the life of this unique settlement. Unlike many other Idaho ghost towns born from the loud and wild world of mining, Chesterfield was founded as a quiet farming community by Mormon settlers in 1880. Located in Caribou County, this small town was designed with a very orderly layout based on a religious settlement blueprint, complete with a meeting house, a school, and fertile farm fields around it. Geographic isolation from major railroad lines and changes in the regional irrigation system slowly made it difficult for Chesterfield's young farmers to sell their crops outside the area. The population exodus happened slowly but surely throughout the early 20th century until the town became completely empty, with no daily domestic activity left. The Chesterfield complex is now preserved as a quiet, historic site, where its neat old brick buildings stand like silent monuments in the middle of wide grassland. Perched at the foot of the Owyhee Mountains at an elevation of more than 2,000 meters above sea level, Gilmore is a ghost town with a natural backdrop that feels both magnificent and unsettling. Today, Gilmore is filled with dozens of wooden structures that have leaned severely under the weight of heavy snow each year, creating a dystopian silhouette beneath the shadow of permanently snow-covered peaks. The town enjoyed a brief period of prosperity thanks to the discovery of abundant, high-quality silver and lead deposits in the early 20th century. A short-line railroad was even built through the mountains, specifically to carry Gilmore's output to major distribution centers. Gilmore's death came suddenly when railroad operations were stopped because of the severe financial crisis that hit its parent company in 1929. Moving to a town that contrasts slightly with the earlier ghost towns, Idaho City holds a unique place on this list. At its peak in the 1860s, this was the largest city in the entire northwestern United States, with a population that even surpassed Portland, Oregon. Millions of dollars in pure gold were pulled from the Boise Basin, attracting thousands of adventurers, Asian immigrants, and criminals to gather in this wild and crowded town center. After the surface gold deposits were drained, Idaho City's population wave collapsed sharply from tens of thousands to a small community of fewer than 500 permanent residents today. Although it is not completely empty, much of the original Idaho City has transitioned into an open-air museum with rows of historic brick buildings, a creepy former territorial prison, and haunted wooden houses now surviving on weekend tourism, making it a town struggling to preserve what remains of its soul. Meanwhile, Placerville stands as a highly authentic example of a pure ghost town in the Boise Basin. The town was founded almost at the same time as Idaho City as a logistics center for gold miners working nearby. Placerville's main feature that separates it from other mining towns is its town square, shaped like an open grassy field surrounded by two-story wooden commercial buildings. When the gold rush faded, Placerville instantly lost its economic appeal, triggering a massive emptying of the area within just a few years. Walking around Placerville's square today gives a deeply lonely visual experience, where old general store windows, the former post office, and the community meeting hall stand locked and empty. This place reflects how a community center once filled with the noise of human interaction can transform into a frozen, silent space. Shifting towards small towns now fighting for survival and at risk of becoming future ghost towns, Avery and Shoshone County presents a very real portrait of post-industrial crisis. Deep inside the dense forest along the St. Joe River, Avery once thrived as a transit town and crucial locomotive maintenance center for the legendary Transcontinental Railroad network, the Milwaukee Road. Avery's demographic disaster began when the Milwaukee Road officially shut down all its western operations in 1980. The town lost its main economic function overnight, triggering a mass exodus of working-age residents toward larger cities. Today, Avery's population has shrunk dramatically to fewer than 25 people, mostly elderly residents, surrounded by rows of rusting old train cars and abandoned worker housing swallowed by brush. The same fate has also struck Leadore. This town sits in a remote valley in Lemhi County, known for having one of the longest and harshest winter climates in Idaho. This small town, originally sustained by a mix of small-scale silver mining and cattle ranching, is now experiencing steady population decline year after year, with only around 100 residents remaining. The lack of jobs outside seasonal agriculture forces Leadore's younger generation to leave their hometown almost immediately after graduating from high school. Walking along its main street presents a sad view. An old gas station with rusting pumps stands inactive. The local general store has been boarded up, and cabin homes on the edge of town are slowly collapsing because their owners moved away and can no longer afford maintenance. Next, have you ever heard of Elk River? Located at the dead end of a mountain road in Clearwater County, Elk River is a classic example of a small town dying after the collapse of commercial logging stability in northern Idaho. For decades during the 20th century, the town was filled with healthy economic activity thanks to a giant lumber mill operation that supported hundreds of local families in prosperity. The decision to fully close the main lumber mill because of changing environmental regulations and declining forest supply immediately crippled Elk River's financial lifeline. The town's population shrank sharply to below 120 people, forcing the local school to close permanently because there were no students left. Many homes here now sit empty throughout the year and are only occupied occasionally by seasonal hunters from outside the area when fall arrives. Geographically, Atlanta and Elmore County is trapped in extreme isolation, perched at the end of a 40-mile rocky dirt road that cuts through steep cliffs and is highly vulnerable to landslides. This former 19th century gold mining town is now home to only around 20 to 30 permanent residents who need extraordinary physical resilience to survive there year-round. Atlanta's strange character and signs of extinction can be seen in its lack of access to the government's main power grid, with locals fully dependent on a self-managed micro-hydroelectric generator system that often breaks down during winter. With no cell signal, no emergency medical facilities, and roads often buried under several meters of snow for months, Atlanta now stands at the final threshold before fully becoming a total ghost town. Meanwhile, yellow pine is hidden deep inside the forest maze of Payette National Forest. It can only be reached through extreme and exhausting dirt roads. This small town once enjoyed population stability when the stibnite gold and tungsten mines operated actively in the surrounding mountains decades ago. Once those mines closed completely because of economic feasibility problems, yellow pine lost its financial anchor. Today, only around 30 permanent residents choose to remain in yellow pine's wooden cabin homes. The town seems to wake from suspended animation only once a year, when it holds a local harmonica music festival that attracts outside visitors. Outside that festival week, yellow pine turns back into a frozen, silent settlement, waiting for the time when no one is left to light a fireplace there. Closing this list, Clark Fork in northern Idaho's Panhandle presents a portrait of a small town undergoing structural economic decay. This town in Bonner County was once strongly supported by the timber industry and northern railroad logistics routes crossing the state border toward Montana. As mechanization advanced and major companies cut operating routes, Clark Fork slowly began to be left behind. Although Clark Fork's population still statistically sits at around 500 people, the social reality on the ground shows worrying signs of crisis. The community poverty rate is far above the state average. Downtown retail businesses are closing one after another, and the number of empty homes left, abandoned by their owners, continues to rise sharply, creating the atmosphere of a sluggish town that has lost hope for the future.